Today I'll be teaching you how to do the candle, how to hold the candle, how to be a Mōmagir, a candle bearer, in the Armenian Apostolic Church. Now, I just want to give a disclaimer that in this video, I will not be able to teach you everything that you need to know. Every movement, every stance, every cue that you need to know. This is simply just a crash course for you, for anyone who's interested on serving on the altar or is currently serving on the altar and just wants to learn a bit more about how they should be holding the candle. I'll just be giving some general tips and some basic stances and movements that you should know about, so that you are not completely confused during the Divine Liturgy. You know exactly what you need to do. The best way that I suggest that you learn all the movements, all the cues, and exactly what you need to do on the altar during the Divine Liturgy or during the services is to watch the services. That is the only way you will be able to learn. Either watch or participate in the services. These are the two ways. Coming on the altar every Sunday and paying attention is very important. If you're on the altar but you're sleeping, you're daydreaming, you won't learn anything. It will be of no use for you. If you're focused and you're taking notes and learning about what is going on, what I need to be doing, you will learn how to hold the candle in maybe 1 month. It's very easy. The other way, like I said, is watching videos. Either this one, or even better, watching the Divine Liturgy, if your church does these live streams. If not, you can watch the Holy See of Cilicia on Cilicia TV on YouTube, or the Holy See of Mother Echmiadzin. Wherever you can find these Badarak live streams, you can watch. It does not, sometimes the altars are different in the churches, but in this case, for your candle holding, it will not make a difference. So just some general tips that I want to give you to begin with. Please do not play with the candle. Playing around with the candle is going to cause the candle to break. In our church, or most churches, we use wax candles. The wax is very delicate. If you play around with it because you're bored, then the candle is going to break, and it's going to start wiggling around, and you do not want the wax to fall on your head. And even worse, the deacon has to now come and fix your candle because it's broken. So please do not play around with the candle. Now, what does the candle look like? This is the most traditional and basic design of the candle. A wooden pole with a metal piece on top of it, which we place the candles. This is very light, at least for me. Maybe it isn't for you. Some churches have even heavier ones, but this is a form that many churches have. This is the most traditional design of the candle. The other is that during any service, you should be standing like a soldier. Have you seen those videos where the royal soldiers in Britain, they stand at the castle, the king or the queen's castle, and they're not allowed to move, they're not allowed to make a single noise, they have to stand completely still. The same way is here. Because if the soldiers are standing completely still for the Queen or the King of England, how much more should we be doing for Almighty God who's sitting on this altar? Even now, when there's no services going on, God is sitting on this altar. So you must always be paying attention and focused and give your most respect to God. You must be standing like a soldier so that first you don't distract the people in the pews, but you can also be respectful to God. Simply stand just like this with your shoulders relaxed. This is your first stance that I call the lowered candle. This is where you will be for most. This is the stance you will be in for the most part of the services. Just standing like this. The second stance is the raised candle. There are some times during the Badarak, let's say for example during Heidemann, where you have to raise the candle. Now, this raising only lasts for the entirety of the hymn. So when, let's say, Heidemann begins, you raise your candle. When Heidemann ends, you lower your candle. How do you raise your candle so that the candles are the same height? Because there's another candle bearer, right? So you should have the candles at the same height. How can we do that? Also so that we don't get tired of holding the candle. The best way to do this is To hold one of your hands, it doesn't matter, but in this case, my left hand, which will be your right, you will see this as my right. Your left hand, put it on your belt or your waist, right below your stomach. Just like this, and place the candle on top of your hand. Now, not like this, throwing it around, but raise the candle just like this, place it on your hand, and your other hand should be at your chest, right here. Should place it on your chest, just like this. And be relaxed. You don't need to dig it into your hand. You don't need to push the candle down. Just lay it on your hand, just like this, and make sure that your candle is not tilted. Because in this case, if it's tilted either this way or this way, the wax is going to fall on the rugs, and you don't want that. So just hold it just like this, completely straight, like a soldier. When you hear high med ends, you lower your candle. Now, same idea goes for the lowered candle. Don't dig it into the ground. I see this sometimes. Sometimes the candle slips like this. Like this, it slips, and it causes a noise. And sometimes it's distracting. Just lay it on the ground, just like this. You don't even need to push it down. Just hold it so that it doesn't rotate or wiggle around. Just like this. Hold it. That's it. Delicate. Relaxed. You don't need to be anxious or scared during the Divine Liturgy. Now the third stance, which varying on your parish, some parishes do this tradition. Our church at St. Stephen's in Watertown, we have this tradition where when the priest comes with the sugi, with the chalice, just like this, imagine I'm the celebrant, and I have the sugi, all of a sudden you see the celebrant turn around like this, and face towards the people. In this moment, the candle holders should, from their position, so let's say this is my position, and that is the other position, you come over, and if the dead hide, or let's say it's whoever it is standing here, you must stand right next to them. Don't stand too far away, stand right next to the celebrant. Just like this, but in our church, we kneel. So when you see the celebrant turn around, just like this, that's your cue to, you see that, and you get on one knee, just like this, and hold the candle. Every time, you should be facing the other candle holder, so you should be seeing the other candle holder. Standing like this, and when the celebrant turns back around, you get up, and usually after this, the curtain will close. So the curtain closes, you go to the altar so that the curtain has space to close. Those are your three stances. The similar idea to what I just showed you goes for the gospel reading, whether a deacon is reading it or a priest is reading it or a bishop is reading it. When you see the deacon during the Badarak, he's standing here, just like this, and when you see him turn and come over here to get ready to read the gospel, that should be your cue to get your candle. Let's say I'm on this side. You see this, and you just turn. In this case, it's easy. You just turn your body and stand. You do not need to kneel for this one. That only goes for the chalice, for the sigi. In this case, you can just stand next to the gospel. Even when you're down here at the end of the Badarak, or during any service, this applies. Stand next to the gospel. And for the candle bearer on the other side, I want to give a note, or almost like a rule. You cannot cross through the middle of the altar. Imagine there's an invisible wall here. You cannot cross like this through the middle. No, that's not allowed. What you have to do is from this side of the altar, just like I just did, go from around the back. And the same goes for the candle holder on this side during times of the Badarak. This candle holder on this side has to come over here. So you cannot cross through the middle under any circumstance. You must go around the back of the altar. When you see the deacon turn around to read, just walk over. Take your place next to the deacon. And when he's finished, go back to your position from behind the back of the altar. Everything that you are doing on this side applies to that side. Imagine it's like a mirror. Whatever the candle holder is doing on this side, the other one should be doing the same. Always the same. Symmetry. Always the same on both sides of the altar. I just want to give some tips as well, that I know it's boring, the badarak. Well, it's not boring, but as a child, a young child, you might get bored during the badarak. And trust me, playing around with your candle is not going to solve this issue. Instead, when you're on the altar, try to be focused. You might be tired. If you're too tired, don't go on the altar that day. Try and come on the altar and be focused. Focus on the badarak. And that will cause the badarak to go much faster. So you don't have to, it's not painful or like torture to be on the altar for 2 hours straight. Focus, see what's going on. The badarak is a very rich and a complex sacrament, a service that we do in the church. So just focus, just look around, pay attention, and it will be very enjoyable for you. Now, another time where we do processions, where we go around the church. In that time, there will be a line of people. The very first person is the chash. I'll show you the candle, the tapori chash. The chash alem. During the tapos, every time in the tapor is the chash holder, the cross bearer. Just like this, the cross will be in the first in the line, and you will be behind the cross. So you're always the second in line. When the cross starts walking around the church, you must raise your candle and follow behind the cross. Be careful, do not cause the wax, don't tilt your candle so the wax falls onto the head of the cross holder. You do not want that to happen. Just raise the candle like I showed you. It'll be very easy. Just hold it straight and everything will go great. So those are basically just the general ideas that you need to know about to serve as a candle bearer in the Armenian Apostolic Church.